Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well. So I just watched Sugar. Let's talk about it. So Sugar is an Apple TV Plus series starring Colin Farrell, who portrays the titular character John Sugar, who is a PI and he is working in, is it California? He's been hired by a very wealthy man to find his granddaughter who has gone missing. But his family is really bizarre, and there are members of his family who don't even seem to care that the granddaughter, Olivia, has literally disappeared into thin air. But the grandfather is really concerned about her disappearance, and so he hires John Sugar to get on the case and figure out what happened to her and hopefully bring her back home. So this series follows John Sugar on this investigation, which predictably becomes increasingly complicated. There are secrets that are revealed, and there are very interesting characters that we meet along the way. And then and then we have like the plot twist of a lifetime, and that's really what I wanted to discuss here today, because really and truly I wasn't really planning on making a review for this series. It's a bit random. I had been checking it out over the weeks and I was quite invested, mostly, to be honest, because of Colin Farrell's performance, which we'll talk about in a second. But overall I thought it was like fine as a show. I thought it was pretty good. It's the standard Apple TV Plus show that is very, very well produced. It looks slick, it looks good, but overall I was like, yeah, like this is good weekly watching. I looked forward to each of the episodes as they dropped weekly, but I wasn't like waiting with bated breath like I am for part 2 of season 3 of Bridgerton. Like I wasn't desperate gagging for it, right? So I was checking this show out every week, and maybe I'd be painting my nails, maybe I'd be doing my taxes, you know what, whatever I'd be doing in the background. But this all came to a halt. This all came to a sudden stop when there was a plot twist of a lifetime, like I said. And major spoiler alert if you want to check out Sugar on Apple TV Plus. I do recommend it ultimately, but this is a huge spoiler, so you've been warned. Aliens. The spoiler is aliens. The secret is alien, because you quickly learn that John Sugar isn't who he seems to be. There's more to him beneath the surface, and initially you think the big secret is that he's working in this spy organization as his friend Amy, who is she Olivia's mother or relative or someone? But she becomes close with John and she helps him along with the investigation, and she also begins to suspect that there's more to him that meets the eye, and she guesses that he is a spy, you know, working in a spy organization, some kind of intelligence situation going on. And I thought that was it. Like I thought that was the big secret. Like he's a spy. We already see that he has connections with Ruby and everything that's going on behind the scenes, so that just made sense. Like you're like, yeah, he's a spy. You know, he speaks multiple languages, he's a good fighter, he has a lot of trauma, PTSD. Like, yeah, he's a spy, fine. Whatever, special ops maybe, who knows? But no, the big secret, the big reveal is that he's an alien. Like he's a part of a group of aliens who came down to Earth on a mission to observe and to record and do nothing else. And it turns out that one of his fellow alien friends is actually to blame for Olivia's disappearance, because he was actually observing and recording some horrific acts of violence that were done against her and other victims of this senator's son, who was a literal psycho. Ultimately, the group of aliens decide to head on back to their home planet, but John Sugar decides to stay behind because he has made a home here on Earth. He really likes it here and he finds himself starting to become more human, and this is dangerous, as he saw with his friend Henry, who was out here making notes on brutality and violence, but you know, he knows that this is a slippery slope, but he still wants to stay behind because he's starting to feel at home on Earth, and also because there's another big reveal in the finale that Henry may have had something to do with the disappearance of John's sister, because the disappearance of his sister has been a huge motivator for John to even be invested in this case as much as he is, because he saw his sister in Olivia, and the fact that Olivia was, you know, missing, the fact that her family was worried about her, made him think of his sister and the fact that he was never able to find her. So in a way, he was trying to find Olivia for his sister. That would have been a way for him to kind of reconcile with his sister's disappearance. But that's kind of thrown into the wind when it's revealed that Henry had something to do with her disappearance. And so if Henry's not going to be leaving the planet, then neither is Johnny Boy. So yeah, overall, when it comes to the plot of Sugar, it is interesting. You know, the investigation itself, like I said, had me intrigued week to week. As the mystery unraveled, I was definitely invested. And then you also have, you know, just John as a character. He had so many layers to him, and when I thought it was just about his missing sister, okay, and the fact that he had a lot of, you know, unresolved issues surrounding that was enough. Like, to me, that was enough for me, okay, to be invested in the character. I was fine with all of that before we started getting into the like, genuinely, the way I gasped, the way I scrimped when it was revealed that they were actual aliens. Listen, maybe they want something when it came to this plot twist, because I wouldn't have talked about this show if it wasn't for the fact that they're literally aliens. Like, it turns out that they're aliens. What a hell of a plot twist. It came out of left field completely. At first, I thought they were just going for this, you know, quite typical neo-noir, you know, PI detective story. It has that sort of vibe to it, and John Sugar is a huge fan of these like old films, and you have clips of these films sprinkled throughout, so it had that, you know, kind of stylization and vibe to it throughout the series that I never suspected that it would have a sci-fi turn. Now, if you ask me if I think that this plot twist actually worked, sure. I don't think it was seamless. In fact, I think it was a very obvious seam, like just right in the middle of the garment. But it definitely had shock value, and even though it was quite a sharp turn in the sci-fi direction, it wasn't completely out of the realm of possibility, considering the type of character that John was set up to be, and there were so many unanswered questions surrounding him. And so when they did have that crazy explanation, while it was out of this world, it did kind of make sense. So I think overall the plot twist kind of worked. Yeah, I'm gonna say it worked. Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, Apple TV Plus seems to love sci-fi. They have all of these sci-fi shows that they spend tons and tons of money on, and no one seems to watch them. So I'm not surprised that Apple TV Plus at least will sprinkle in some sci-fi where they could, even when it had no business being. But ultimately, when it comes to this series, the main attraction wasn't the alien spaceships. It was Colin Farrell's performance as John Sugar. I think he was absolutely brilliant on this show. Like, genuinely, he was so good as this character. John Sugar is such an intriguing character because he has so many of these complex layers to him. Like I said, on the surface of things, he seems cool, calm, and collected. He's experienced. He's been a PI for a long time. He's seen it all. But then when you dig a little deeper, just below the surface, you see the cracks starting to form. He has issues with, you know, nervousness with his arm, like this nervous response that he gets. He seems to get these like panic attacks, and he will black out, and, you know, all of these physiological responses to trauma probably that he has that kind of, again, reveal the cracks in his persona. And then you dig even deeper and you see that he's starting to develop these like human emotions, and at first you can't quite figure out why that's a big deal. It's like, yeah, you're getting a little angry, so what, you know, like, it was a tough situation, like, don't be too hard on yourself. But then when the big reveal when the big reveal happens, it's like, oh, okay, that's why that's why he was scared of becoming violent. That's why he was so hard on himself for killing those goons. Okay, I get it. But Colin Farrell was able to act the hell out of each and every layer of this character, and that really and truly is what kept me returning to each new episode of the show. That is what kept me invested, is his performance as John Sugar. And honestly, even though like I'm pretty good on the show, like I'm not really gunning for a season 2, I think I would check out a couple of episodes if it did return for a second season, purely because of Colin Farrell. I have to say, another standout to me was definitely Amy Ryan, who I may have referred to as a character, but really that's the actress's name. Amy Ryan was really, really great on the show as well, and I really liked seeing the friendship, maybe relationship develop between her and John. They were really great together. It was great to see them working together to try and find out where Olivia was. But she also has her own struggles to deal with, on top of the fact that Olivia is missing and she is distraught over that. But she's also an alcoholic. And so this is yet another human experience that John, you know, is able to observe and have access to. But they actually become friends in the end, so much so that he actually shows her a glimpse of something, I don't know, the afterlife, heaven, his alien planet, I don't know, but he shows her a glimpse of something that is very illuminating, and I wonder if that means she knows that he's an alien, or if she's just gonna think that it was all a dream or an illusion or drugs, like who knows. Maybe he drugged her. But across the board, the cast of this series is really strong, and like I said, the production value is there. It's an Apple TV Plus series. Of course, they threw a bunch of money at the show. Although I will say, and this is a question for those of you who have watched the series, so like 3 other people on this planet, 3 other people on this damn planet, okay? It may be a couple of folks in another planet, but what do you make of the opening title sequence? Because to me, it's giving Secret Invasion. It's giving Secret Invasion vibes, and the Secret Invasion title sequence was famously bashed by people on social media because it used AI. And I can't help but feel like perhaps maybe the opening sequence for Sugar also kind of uses some AI in there somewhere. It has that kind of AI vibe. Now, I never actually got to touch on this in my Secret Invasion review because there was so much else to talk about with that show, but I actually never understood the outcry when it came to using AI for the title sequence of that series, because to me the explanation that the artists gave made sense. You know, the whole point of the show was trying to convey this feeling of, oh, you don't know what's real, you don't know who you can trust, and so it makes sense to incorporate AI elements into the title sequence because it plays into that theme. So I thought that outcry was a little bit exaggerative and kind of missed the point entirely, especially considering that real artists actually worked with the AI programming to make the title sequence for Secret Invasion. But if it is the case that this series also uses AI for the title sequence, I don't know, by the way. It could just be, you know, produced by artists and stylized in this manner. But if it is the case that it does use AI, I wouldn't be surprised, considering it is like an Apple TV Plus show. Like, if anyone has access to that technology, it would be them, right? But if that is the case, then I do think, similarly to Secret Invasion, it's thematically relevant. I think it works because we're dealing with a secret invasion. Oh, we're dealing with a secret. It turns out the Apple TV Plus series Sugar has a lot more in common with Marvel's Secret Invasion than anyone could have thought. So with all of that being said, guys, I'm going to be giving Sugar a 7 out of 10. This was just a random one. Like I said, I wasn't really planning on making a review for this one, but that plot twist was just like, it was just like, what is going on here? So I had to discuss. But that's it from me. Now that I told you guys my thoughts on Sugar, it's time for you guys to let me know what you thought of the series, if you're one of the 3 people that watched it, down in the comments below. Please be sure to subscribe to catch new videos coming up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.